Hi, in this video I'll discuss about three of the main issues that I found when working with servers over the years. I'll go over them and explain where the issue lies and how to avoid it, because in the end what we want is to learn from others' mistakes and not do them again. So first and foremost I want to discuss about people trying to do custom things. I know it's really popular right now to get custom work. It's really popular for especially new server owners to try to reinvent the wheel and come up with something new, because they think that bringing something unique to the table is a good idea. And yeah, it generally is if you know how to do it and how to implement it, but at the same time it's also way more work, and people do not realize the amount of work that being different than others actually requires. And let me give you just a basic example that I've noticed over tens of clients that I had, and I came into calls with them, and first thing I told them is that you shouldn't hire me for this, you shouldn't get this, you shouldn't do this, because it's not a good idea for you in the end. It's actually something that's gonna hurt you. And I know many server owners have actually invested thousands of euros. Many of them are students, and they do not have the most money because they thought it's gonna make bank, and it wasn't, because they did those mistakes, and in the end they actually lost more than they wanted. So yeah, just avoid custom work when you know it's not gonna necessarily impact your server. So let me give you a direct example. Custom cores. Many servers have those custom cores where they add their, I don't know, their basic commands. Instead of using essentials or CMI or whatever on the internet, they just have their own. And there's no point in that. There's no point in reinventing the wheel. One, you have a plugin that you're gonna need to maintain, so it's gonna be way more expensive for you to keep, both time-wise and money-wise, because okay, you're gonna need to report to a developer that built that API. Then if that developer is away, you're gonna need to find another one. Then you need to pay that guy, and maybe he's not a nice person and he's gonna do it, or maybe he's a bad developer, and in which case you also have to waste money with that and cleaning up, and in the end it's gonna be a mess. When you could have just used essentials or CMI. So avoid, if you have something that's available on the internet and that works, just use that, and it's just gonna do its job and it's gonna be amazing. And if you want to add something new, feature-wise, try to minimize the amount that you need custom developed. A good example is a client that I've had to deal with. He wanted spawners with upgrades. And my recommendation was actually to get Wildstacker, which is a publicly available plugin, and use its API and the interactive end to pretty much extend it and to add upgrades and so on. So instead of using more spawners to stack, you would use a GUI and so on. So the idea is try to minimize what you need custom developed and what you can focus on something different to update for you. Because with essentials you have a huge team of developers that's going to do updates for free. For premium plugins you have people that get revenue monthly and that are incentivized to push updates, because that puts them in the top of Spigot, that gets more purchases, and so they win. They're incentivized to actually work and focus on your issues, then having to deal with them yourself, in which case it's more expensive, it takes more time and more money. So just avoid that. And second, it's really important, many times what's custom, what's different, it's hard to understand by players. Players want something familiar. They don't want to go to school when they join your server. They want to play and have fun. And if something is not intuitive because it's really complex, even though it may be fun if you understand it, people are just gonna avoid it. Most players do not care about the complexities. They don't want to bother, they just want to have fun. They get from work or they get from school and they want to have 2-3 hours of playing, and maybe they spend some money on your server if they feel it's good, or if they see some advantage in purchasing a certain item. And then they leave and they come next day or next week, and that's it. But they don't want to go there and have to work. They don't want to work on your server. So learning is a work, and you want to avoid that. You want to have something intuitive that doesn't require too much to understand. But if you make something completely unique, then it's gonna be different, and people do not know what to expect. They do not know how to use it. So it's gonna be difficult for them to understand, and that may lead to them leaving because they don't want to work. So this is pretty much the aspect of getting something custom. I'm gonna give you an example. I have one client that I worked for quite a few years. He has a Towny server, not that big, about 70-80 players at peak time. But he's been owning this server for a while. It's a US server, so he gets the money. He has a decent revenue each month. And he lives in a country where that's fine for him. So he lives really well with the money he makes. But he has a lot of custom plugins. And first developer he worked with, I don't know, he didn't really care, and so he made things that broke eventually, and he just had to contact me to fix issues, when if he used publicly available plugins, that wouldn't be the case. He would just avoid having to pay completely. He would just get something for $10 online, which is nothing. It's nothing, and he would just use that. And this is the main issue, and I've seen it over a large amount of servers, big and small. It's really important to learn to use something that's already available and not to reinvent the wheel. You can even use setups of MC Market if that's better for you. So nobody cares. 2, and this is really important. You need to understand your server budget. You need to understand how much money you make, where that money comes from, and how it ties in with your expenses. So let me give you a simple example. You pay 100 on hosting, you pay 100 on publicly available things, Spigot, MC Market, Spawns, whatever, and then you pay another 200 monthly for development. On average, this is just on average. Some months you may pay 600, some months you may pay 0, and so on. You need to understand where the money comes from. In the US, for average, you make 20 euros a player, 20, 40, let's just say 20. So that's to make 1,000, that's 50 players. So yeah, let's say you have to get an anti-cheat, and I just have a direct example. I have one client, PGXPO. They have about 200-300 players. They're a network in the Middle East, and they have they do PvP. They're a PvP network. And they just contacted me a few days ago, asking if, well, is it a good idea to pay this guy 100 euros for an anti-cheat? And I just told them how much players does that mean, and it was like not many. So for an anti-cheat, that's 100 euros. They pay a few players, but an anti-cheat, once they put it on the server, it's gonna bring 20, 30, 40 players, and 40 players times 20, just make the math and you'll see it's way better than choosing not to work with that guy, which is gonna do a lot for 100 euros. So just learn not to be shy about paying, but at the same time to know what you're paying and if it's worth it. Because on the other side of the spectrum, you have people wasting money on server lists. 10k for a server list listing, which is gonna bring 100 players, when you could guess for 10k, let's say you can get 10 videos, a series of 10 videos from a YouTuber. Not a big one, but a fine one, and that series is gonna bring you active players 100 to 100. And if it's a series, because that's the thing with YouTubers, you need to get a series so people see that that YouTuber actually frequents the server, you're definitely gonna bring a lot more players in than 100 that you don't know how many are gonna stay. And with a YouTuber, you know they're gonna stay because they're gonna want to be in the videos. And if the YouTuber plays frequently in your server, so each week people know and they expect the YouTuber to come on, then obviously that's gonna boost your player source and player count significantly. So to go back, this is number 2. And number 3, it's really important to know when you should open more servers. There are 2 sides of the spectrum again. Just as with the previous example, there are just 2 sides. That's people that just have too many servers and they don't have players to populate them, and it's boring because a player is not gonna stay on an empty server. They're not coming on servers for single player. And you have the other side of the spectrum of people keeping one single server that has so many players that it starts lagging and so on. And they pay lots of money to try to optimize that when they could just focus on just opening a different server and that would be fixed. So a direct example is, let's say you have a 1.16 server that can handle, let's say, with a lag on good hardware 150, with lag 200. It's better than to have a laggy server just to open 2 servers with 150 each. Minecraft is mainly single threaded, so you also win from this. And they just have 300 and above servers if they manage to populate both. And yeah, it's simple. Just open more servers and just slightly differentiate. Maybe have different YouTubers on them. If you have advertising via YouTubers, or if not, just differentiate by having different small features. And kids are gonna choose what they like, and you're gonna have 2 servers, and you're gonna have more room to grow, and you're gonna earn way more in the end. This is small. I mean, there's not much to talk about this. It's really simple, but it's really important. And I've seen many servers avoid opening more servers or opening too many, so it's really important to strike the balance. Try to keep at least 40-50 players on each server, because that leads to you having enough players that you can actually warrant the growth. So I think, yeah, that's it. I just want to end the video with an advertising note, obviously. This is a video on a business YouTube channel. It's Entry-Rise, and I want to start with advertising. Entry-Rise is cheap. It's 200-300 a month. For larger servers, it's 500. But at the same time, I come with experience working with networks that have 2,000-3,000 players at peak time. I did infrastructures that sustain 2,000-3,000 players at peak time, and tested 2,000-3,000 players at peak time. I've helped build infrastructures for servers that have up to 8,000 players at peak time, Russian servers. And I've worked with servers from all over the world, so I understand the culture from each server. I know what works and doesn't work for servers in Turkey, in Romania, in the US, in Germany, in Japan, in the Philippines. I just work with a wide array of people from a wide array of contexts, and I started to get what's common, what's not, what you need to focus on the server, but that's what you're paying, and it's not expensive. Consider if I just split the cost, let's say even the 500 euro plan, which is custom for larger servers, assuming 25 euros an hour, that's 20 hours of work, which is definitely gonna be put in, so you're gonna get way more for the money. Obviously, it ends up being more expensive for the first month, because I tend to focus. I get the server, okay, let's stabilize it, let's make it work, and then it's more maintenance and less time spent by me. But at that time, I already did my work, and I already ensured that you benefit from it. I think all of the plans that I sell on Entry-Rise are worth it and bring an advantage to you and your clients. I'm not selling something that I do not think in, and I do not believe in, and I think it's really valuable if you try it for a month and you see what you get, and then just decide. Again, I'm just gonna make the example with the players. You're gonna pay me, let's say 500. That's 25 players, and I believe I can bring way more than 25 players to your server, working with servers that have 2,000, 3,000 players, where 20 players is something that we don't care about that much. So you got the point. I hope this video has been helpful, and I hope that you had learned from this. And again, if you need something, you can contact us, and we'll be there for you, be it crisis, be it a good time. I think we care about most clients, and almost all of the clients we have, and yeah. So yeah, with this I want to end the video, and thank you for watching.